talent tools. Firstly, we have verbal reasoning tests. Now, these are at the top for a reason. Simply, verbal reasoning is used in almost everything we do, but in particular in the workplace. Almost all of the information you're going to receive is going to be written or spoken. Consequently, having high levels of verbal reasoning is just an inherently advantageous thing, regardless of the role. Next, we have numerical reasoning. Now, often these go together very closely with verbal reasoning, and it measures a person's ability to work with numbers and quantitative data. Any information that isn't going to be verbal is almost certainly going to be numerical. And in a wide range of roles, numerical reasoning is absolutely key to performance. Next, we have inductive reasoning or logical reasoning. Now, if it's not verbal and it isn't quantitative, it's going to be abstract, pictorial, diagrammatic information. Now, often, many roles require a certain amount of abstract thought, thinking about processes and systems. This is where inductive reasoning comes in. It's a very useful predictor of performance in those kinds of roles. And together, verbal, numerical, and inductive provide a very useful indication of a person's general cognitive ability, which is the strongest predictor of performance known. Next, we have personality assessments. Now, these are measuring behavioral constructs rather than cognitive. These are essential because they can measure a very wide range of behavioral constructs, many of which will be important to both performance and engagement in any given role. Next, we have situational judgment tests. These are sort of a combination of a cognitive and a behavioral assessment, looking at whether people make effective decisions and reasonable judgments in workplace relevant settings. Very useful complement to any other assessment. Next, we have structured face-to-face interviews. The key thing here is structured. When you use conversational interviews, where you just freestyle and use an informal setting, the research shows they're less effective at predicting job performance, mostly because the reliability is reduced. If you give different people different questions, inevitably some will be given a harder time than others, reducing the effectiveness as talent tools. Instead, structured interviews with the same questions face-to-face are very, very powerful predictors of performance. But, of course, they can be a little bit limited, in particular, requirement to do them face-to-face, which is where video interviews come into it. Again, two-way, real-time video interviews are almost as good as a face-to-face interview because you can capture a person's facial expressions, gestures in much the same way you could do in person. But of course, you have the added convenience of doing it remotely, making them an ideal compromise. However, they must be two-way. Using asynchronous video interviews doesn't seem to be quite as effective, likely because you can't use probing questions.